Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of this little book right here. We've got Tonight, the Life and Times of... That's right, me and these other little books, you guys, now available in audiobook. I know a lot of people wanted them, and I am in the process of recording it in my own voice, but the second Amazon offered me the opportunity on that platform to do the audiobook, I've got it up. Just listen to it from first word to last word, because that's how it supports this channel. And if you buy the ebook, same thing. Read from first to last page. It supports the channel. And it's a really good story, even though I've got book 2 coming, because I leave off in 2002 in this book. People are like, oh, she must have quit hanging out with bands after, the whole John Entwistle thing. Please. Rock and roll's the only world I know. There was a whole lot more that happened after 2002, but it's coming up slowly but surely. The name of the book will be And She Was. After the talking heads, the world was moving. She was right there with it, and she was. And she was. Because I've seen a lot of stuff in rock and roll, me and my friends have. And speaking of rock and roll, you guys, I just absolutely love... Sorry, my dress is falling off. Just for YouTube, I do have a dress on. It's staying on. I'm not naked. I got a community violation for something not being right too explicit in my video, so I don't know what it was. So just to let you know, I'm in a dress. This is clothing. But so anyway, I really, really love the rock and roll family we're creating here. It's like when we go to concerts anymore, I look out of the crowd and people aren't connecting like they used to. So to have everybody here connecting, sharing your lives with me, being supportive of mine, and just creating friendships, not just with me, but with everybody else, is absolutely amazing. And I'm glad I can inspire people to not be afraid to live the life they want to live. I think that's really important. Be true to yourself. Don't hurt anybody else. Carry yourself with dignity and grace and self-respect. And go be bold. Go out in the world. Live the life that you want to, as long as you're not hurting anyone else in any way, shape, or form, okay? So that's really amazing that I can be inspirational. You guys inspire me every day. As you know from the videos I do, you guys ask for a topic and I bring it to you. I'm always happy to do that because you guys give me such great input. I love it. So thank you so much to everybody, whether you're a member here, whether you're subscribed, whether you're just hanging out in the background in the nosebleed seats. You guys really make this worth it every day. And speaking of every day, you guys, we're going to do something that I haven't done in a few days, in a while. We're going to do a reading from the book. Just kind of a quick little reading. It's going to be a shorter episode. I've got some new Metallica fans here. People want to know about some things in the book. Now, this is going to be, or like I did 3 episodes on the whole thing with Denver when Danny was thrown up on the band and the car wreck happened. This is what happened after the car wreck in 92, because the car wreck actually happened in December of 1991. And if you don't know, I'll put the links to those 3 videos because you kind of have to watch. It's a progression leading up to the car wreck with a couple of Metallica's road crew guys in my car. So we're going to do a little reading about what happened after, when they came back to town. And we are going to have one of my favorite locals, who am I kidding? This is Shades, you guys. This is one of their seasonal flavors, obviously. And I've already started drinking it from the previous video, but guys, I cannot even tell you how much I love this one. This pumpkin spice, oh my gosh. Like, seriously. It's not your typical pumpkin spice beer. It's a blonde ale, but they also do something quite different in it that not only gives you that flavor, the spices of the pumpkin pie, that almost makes you feel like the crust. And that's what most pumpkin beers are missing, is that crust flavor. They just throw in that allspice and the ginger and whatever, the nutmeg, and they call it a pumpkin beer. But this is a pumpkin pie beer. All the way, 100%. So everybody, grab your little pumpkins, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and story time. Cheers, big ears. Oh, so good. So good. So freaking good. Okay, so we're going to have a little reading, like I said. So this is June of 1992. This is about 6 months after the car wreck. We had been keeping in touch with the guys, but there was still more stuff going on. James met Francesca in Denver. So, and they weren't like, she was somewhat out on the road with him, but they weren't like official yet. I mean, it was somewhat official because James gave her a job like he does all of his fucking girlfriends. Not me. I didn't want the damn job. Working for the band or him being my man. I didn't want either of that. So, all right, this is June of 1992. Well, it was that time again. Summer was dawning, and concert tours were coming out of hibernation and falling into our town. First up to help shake off the winter dust? Yep, you guessed it. Metallica was coming back to town with a new lighting tech and insurance clause. That has to do with the car wreck, so you guys go down in that description. I'll put the link right there so you guys can see what I'm talking about by the car wreck. Because the car wreck, we had a couple other roadies basically. We got in a car wreck that it was my car. I was behind the wheel. Long story, like I said, watch that video. But there were when you go out on tour, there's tour insurance for the guys, for the road crew. It's just like they insure everybody. And a lot of Who fans found this out because of, anyway. But so there's insurance just like there is any other business. And they have to protect the tours. So there was nothing in the insurance clauses on the tours that talked about riding in private cars with people other than like limo driver or the hotel van runner, somebody whose job it was. After that car wreck, there sure as fuck was. So that's what that means by new insurance clause. All right. Danny and I would, of course, go see the boys. They were our number one rock and roll family addiction. Not to mention, how could we tuck tail and run after the wreck that came by to bring us... Wait. Okay, sorry, I skipped along. Not to mention, how could we tuck tail and run after the wreck that was? As we got ready in the house we shared, my cousin Petey came by to bring Danny and I the usual green we would be enjoying later. He asked what we were doing. Getting ready for the boys? Going to play the band game, are ya? And there it became, from then on, with Metallica and all the rockers we knew. Going to see the band was dubbed the band game, and Danny and I were strutting our stuff right down Park Place and Boardwalk towards the Marriott and Metallica. So you guys hear a certain line in a song about games they played? That's where it came from. I mean, people don't want to believe it because I'm the only person that's come out that has hung around Metallica for a long time that isn't, one of their old friends. Well, I am an old friend, but I'm not one of the guys. I'm the chick that walked away. Okay. Danny and I nervously climbed the shallow stairs that led into the side of the Marriott Hotel and right to the bar so we could avoid any security. Whole other story about that, too. We stopped and refreshed our faces in the bathroom before enduring the walk of shame into the hotel bar called Bentley's. We each grabbed a handle from both doors and swung the double trouble wide open. At the bar, as if awaiting our arrival, was Lars, James, Jason, their tour manager Ian, Dougal the Wonder Roadie, because we never quite figured out what Dougal did besides got paid. We wondered that. Paul and some others we had known from the tour. All their heads turned towards the door as Danny and I made our entrance. We hesitated, wondering what would happen next. Well, Lars took it from there and he piped up. Hey everyone, Allison is here. Anyone need a ride? Still says that to this fucking day. Well, not to this day, but last time I saw him. Come on now. So it kind of became the joke because, I was the one behind the wheel. I wasn't the one who actually caused the wreck, but again, go watch it down in the description. So he quipped with his... So, hey everyone, Allison is here. Oh, sorry, you guys. I'm just really tired today, so... All right. So, hey everyone, Allison is here. Anyone need a ride? He quipped with his familiar smile and welcoming ways. Lars was always a sweetie and a smart ass. The plethora of rock and roll boys clapped and laughed with welcoming smiles and open arms. Drinks were ordered and chairs were made available on either side of the drummer boy who had been so tangled in both Danny and I's backstage world. We were home and happy to be here. Only this time would be our swan song to Metallica, our goodbye to the boys of our youthful past. It would be the last time James and I were together. All good road things in the backstage world have a shelf life. Ours with Metallica and Metallica with ours lasted more than most. Times they were a changin'. Not to mention, apparently that day Lars had achieved what no rocker in the history of SLC groupiedom had. Tonight, Kristen would make a play for the little drummer boy. He had now taken all three of the Salt Lake City welcoming committee. Because Kristen had snuck up earlier in the day when the band flew in and snaked her way into Lars's bed. Well, if that didn't make things more awkward, Lars. Oh, yeah, again, go down in the description. Go look for those videos. There's a whole story behind all this. Lord knows. Danny and I, of course, Uber claimed our rock and roll throne and went to the show the next night as expected. Our place with Metallica in Salt Lake City was never rivaled. Not even by his new wardrobe girl, who I was kept away from in the usual rock and roll style. It was very well known that James's ex, Kristen, knew about me from my at the time roomie and groupie friend, Krista, who dated another guy from San Fran that was part of the whole music scene family. No one got near our boys, and we made sure of that. Kristen was never a big part of Danny and I's exploit with the goods of our generation. She was barely let in after that stunt she pulled with Lars, but I had done the same thing, so I had no room to talk. Hell, with all the merry-go-round we had had with Metallica, maybe it was just time that we said goodbye, which is exactly what I said in my heart as I went to the elevator for the last time with James. And don't get me wrong, I love Kristen dearly. She is a wonderful sister, friend. We've had our ups and downs, and she is still someone that I love and trust dearly. And I mean no disrespect. It's just, I have to be honest with what was going on in my emotions at that time. And friends go through roller coasters, and this was one of my roller coasters. So, this is the morning after. And as we went with the band to General Aviation the next morning to say our goodbyes, Danny and I knew we would not see them the same ever again, if we would ever see them again. They were heading quickly towards the rock egodom and far away from the nymphs that we knew them as they were. They were heading quickly towards their rock and roll egos and far away from the nymphs that knew them as they were, the nymphs meaning me and Danny. For as we all sat in the anonymous white van most rockers travel around the towns in, some fans in a car noticed the metal grates and followed us to the private airstrip. Along the way, we stopped at a convenience store for Jason to grab something or other. James and Lars sat in the van and ignored the guys hovering outside the vehicle, wanting to get their autographs. I don't really blame them. Private time is private time and should be respected. But it was just a couple guys. And James and Lars kept turning away. But not Jason. I mean, the guys were standing right there and they were kind of waving, and Lars and James... Kirk was half asleep in the back. The tour manager was like, go away, So they just kind of ignored those guys, which wasn't the guys we knew. But Jason, because he was coming out of the convenience store, he did, So, but it was just a couple guys that Jason took on like a champ, as usual. Jason was always awesome like that. James and Lars had long since gone the way of skipping the meet and creeps for groupies and booze, which made us happy, mind you, but also blinded us to what was really happening. The grass and roots of Metallica was being plowed away for the clouded world of legendary status. Danny and I's boys bantered back and forth about the vermin, as they called several fans several times in front of us, that crowded their world. Those vermin, yes, can be presumptuous, presumptuously annoying, but also afforded us all the lifestyle we sat there enjoying and were their biggest fans. It was a catch-22 that really didn't hit us until after that horrid movie came out years later. Some Kind of Monster. The boys we knew were gone, and in were the art collectors, straight edgers, fresh from made-up addiction stint in rehab, and guys who were so far gone into their egos that they flew on separate planes during the tour. This was not the Metallica we knew and loved. And keep that little quip in mind. Straight edgers fresh from a made-up addiction stint in rehab. Truth is out there. All right. This was not the Metallica Danny and I knew and loved. Danny and I were driven after dropping the boys off at the airplane. Danny and I were driven silently home in the same van that had just held our beloved band. Empty could describe more than just the car. Danny and I looked at each other and knew. She wouldn't see the boys again until 2003. I would run from James a couple of years later in Seattle and cross paths with Lars and everybody in Vegas. But, as I repeatedly say, I get ahead of myself. Right now, I didn't want to think about the boys and the inevitable end of an era. Good thing there was another band headed to town. Ladies, what gets us over one band? Getting under another. What gets us over one man? Getting under another. Or on top, or, in front of. However you like it. So there you guys go. There's kind of the end of where Danny and I really kind of knew this is not the band we loved anymore. These are not the men we loved anymore. And we all go through different chapters of our lives. But you can go through those chapters without letting your egos turn you into assholes. Basically. And everything that they said that they were not going to become. Like I said, if the guys we knew saw that movie Some Kind of Monster, they would be mortified at themselves. They would be absolutely mortified at themselves. And that's just the way it is in rock and roll, ladies. I mean, for groupies, women who are wanting to become groupies, who want to live the lifestyle, understand all good things must come to an end, because you're not trying to fall in love with everybody you're falling in bed with. You're not trying to hang on for dear life for eternity. Rock stars have a shelf life for groupies, and groupies have a shelf life for rock stars. Just the way it goes. And Danny and I knew that it was time for us to say goodbye to Metallica. They were just something different. We saw something different in them that day. And it was a lot more stuff that was going on within the band, how they were treating their tour manager who'd been with them forever, the guy who you see, that did the Metallica, the James Hetfield, the morning after, where he's doing Fuel Hippopotamus. You guys who I just talked to on TikTok, that was me. I put the bow in his hair. Danny and I had a bet. So we saw kind of how they were acting, how Metallica was headed to a Bermuda Triangle. And that was that for us. We wanted to hang on to the boys and we wanted to leave it on a good note, that we always had a good time with each other, and there was always going to be that love and respect for each other, rather than watch something implode and turn ugly. Sorry, I just let out a burp. Beer does that to me. But so that was kind of the moment, and that was after the car wreck. This was after, Master of Puppets in 1985, and this was 1992. So that's 7 years. 7 fucking years of hanging out with the band. Most groupies don't even last 7 years. Scamming to Pars didn't last, 2 years maybe? Most groupies are out of it within 2-3 years. I was hanging out with Metallica for 7 years. So I had 7 years of memories. We had 7 years of inside jokes. The car wreck. Breakups with divorces. I mean, band games. Because James, never cared for the big games we played, did that. The band game. That's where that came, the band game. So 7 years, and My book was released in 2014, and it does talk about that night I put the bow in James Hetfield's hair. It also talks about that night how Ian Jeffries, their tour manager at the time, had decided that we should play a game making up dirty letters for each letter of the dirty words for each letter of the alphabets. That came out in my book 2014, and about 2017, what did they do? What did they do? Oh yeah, they released some Metallica ABC books. And L was actually Lars. In the dirty Metallica ABC, because Lars was the dirty mofo. As we find out. But Metallica fans, read my book. Listen to it at least, Like I said, listen to it first word to last, because but read between the lines. Listen between the lines, because you're going to find out some things that you just never put two and two together. So, and that was, like I said, for ladies, this is kind of a cautionary tale as well for ladies who are just starting out in the groupie life or want to adventure into the groupie world, into the rock world. Please do, because rock and roll is so effing boring with all these noob guys lately. They need some livening it up. They need some waking up. Come on, groupies, let's go. But understand, you're not going to be with every band forever. You may be friends for the rest of your lives, but you're not going to be intentionally crossing paths forever. Just the way it is. And that was the end. Danny and I knew, because we just saw them going someplace we didn't want to go with them. We could have. Like I said, Danny chose not to be around him because there was bad blood between her and Lars, and rightfully so. And Danny and I were just talking about it the other day. Our time with them, and yeah, I think we left at a good time. I think we walked away, because make no mistake, we walked away from Metallica. We just chose not to hang out with them anymore. You just don't go to that hotel bar when they're in town. So that was our choice. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we walked away from them at the best time, because we left with great memories, a car wreck, the bow in the hair, all these moments that you guys see. These are my memories with Metallica. This alphabet book that you all bought, guess what? That really happened in 1990 something, one or two, or the end of the Injustice tour. That happened. There's actually explanations behind this stuff that you guys see of James being the cowardly lion, the goofball. It was because of us. So, yeah, for those Metallica fans that are just figuring out who I am, welcome aboard. Ask all the questions you want. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you our adventures. It's already there. Just go check it out, and be checking out The Lion, the Itch, and the Wardrobe one. Be checking out I've Got Something to Say. There's a lot of hidden stuff in there. All right. So, but like I said, again, it was kind of a cautionary tale for women who want to be groupies. Know when to walk away. Because boots are made for walking, and groupie boots are too. But all right, thank you guys for hanging out with me in the episode, getting to the end of this episode. Listen to my little Metallica story. I know I don't always do a lot of stuff for Metallica fans, but I like to say thank you and throw in little bits here and there, because I do get tired of talking about Metallica, because when you choose to walk away from your old lovers, yeah, you kind of want to leave them in the past, but they're going to be part of my past and part of, this book and my adventures in life forever. And that's just, here's some of the stories behind all these things you guys have been wondering about forever. It's all right here. But all right, thank you again for everybody who got to the end of the episode. To everybody who's really just hanging out and having a good time. Welcome to everybody who's new to the family. Don't forget to go down, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit my bells, and we will see you next time here on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.